Alright, welcome back to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It's your host with the most. And this one right here is another immigration update. So you notice that the promised ICE raids where millions would have been locked up did not happen at the time frame that Donald Trump said it would. I don't know if you're familiar with this piece of news, but he's been on top of it. And he's pretty much saying that rest assured, it will happen. Apparently, the Democrats, as you know, he is a Republican, so they're playing politics. And the Democrats have asked for him to put a stop on it, and he gave it a 2-week break. We're going to talk about that because 1 week has already passed. And with 1 week remaining, he just sent out a tweet last night saying, unless something miraculous happens, it's going down. But first, let's talk about the groups that have found this as a money-making thing for them. So we're seeing a rise in organized groups that are getting their uniforms, badges, guns, all the necessary stuff needed, and are going around to immigrant communities and are terrorizing immigrants as ICE agents, when in truth they are not ICE agents. They're just normal civilians who are making a whole lot of money off of people who are scared that they're going to be apprehended and or deported, right? So I'm reading a story here where one man scammed a couple of immigrants out of over $70,000 US. Multiple Americans have been faking this immigration customs enforcement agent deal since the whole Donald Trump got into office thing, and have been very successful at it, and have been making a whole lot of money at it. For instance, a warrant was issued for this man named Atia Ordesman, a 35-year-old from Maryland who reportedly confronted customers smoking outside of a local cafe, waving his powers around, warning them to put out your cigarettes or face harsh consequences, before sneaking his way into the Falls Church Police Criminal Investigations Office. Authorities raided his home and they discovered multiple firearms, a police badge, police radio, body armor, several tactical vests, and a whole lot of paperwork. Local authorities said that they were shocked at how he had the ability to get into the investigative office and how comfortable he was just sitting there in front of a computer with the keyboard sitting in his lap as if he belonged, right? So I guess what I'm saying is, for those of you who know somebody that might know somebody, or if you are in a position where you might think that ICE is coming for you, then you might want to be careful who you are answering your door for. And if you get that knock on the door and the uniform says ICE, there's a chance that it might not be a real ICE agent. That's crazy in itself. Here's another one. Ruiz, he was convincing immigrants that he was an immigration officer and he was capable of deporting undocumented immigrants. This man was able to swindle a group of immigrants out of over $200,000 US. And then he was locked up for it, and the same day he got out of lockup, he started doing it again. To this day, he has amassed equal amount, which is another $200,000, doing the same thing. One immigrant, a legal resident, has his green card, perfectly legal here. He paid Ruiz $46,000, and he was the whistleblower. $46,000 in cash for expedited legal status of paperwork for his wife and his kids. Instead, he was left with nothing. We're familiar with these stories, though, of people pretending to be lawyers that can get you straight in the country and all this other stuff. So be careful. Now, the raids are on the way, okay? And President Donald Trump has delayed the mass deportation he had threatened would start and would go for, well, it was 2 weeks. And he's 2 weeks ago he said it would start in 2 weeks. They were to target undocumented people who already had deportation orders or who had missed their court dates. And they were also to focus on families. That's the main part of it that people are calling inhumane, to focus on families, because even people in the Donald Trump administration are saying that I'm pulling away from this one because it's going to look bad. And when I run for re-election in my constituency, I don't want to be the face that's placed on a bus full of babies with no parents and 2 ICE agents. And if you've seen the other videos that I've put up, I'll attach some of them to the end of this video. You will see that ICE had already have custom-made buses where it's all baby seats. There are no seats on the bus for adults, which means the plan is to separate even infants from their parents. The president said that the deportations would now be postponed for 2 weeks at that time. At this point, a week has already passed, and we're looking into one more week. And he has said at this point that after the 4th of July holidays, it is on and cracking. So this put people in several major cities in a frenzy because they are now bracing for these deportations. Cesar Espionza is the head of FIEL, F-I-E-L, and that's the largest immigration rights group that's located in Houston, Texas. And the group has been fielding hundreds of calls and running a workshop for people that are at risk of being deported. So there are people here that are going out of their way to help those who need it, because they don't want to see their communities destroyed, as they put it. They don't want to see children separated from their parents, as they put it. And they are compassionate towards immigrants in this position because a lot of them themselves are seeds of immigrants. It's funny that a lot of people have forgotten that they are the seed of immigrants as well. And a lot of them, their immigrant foreparents, the ones that came here first and made it possible for you to come or for them to come here, a lot of them came here illegally as well. So it's kind of ironic to have illegal immigrant foreparents and then you turn around and in a position of power you wave a wand where that goes so hard lined against people that are just seeking a better life. Now, as this guy is saying that the president has delayed this, but so Mark asked him a question and said, the president has delayed the ICE raids, but are you still bracing for the raids and the deportations at some point? And he said the president's tweets have exacerbated or turned up the concern and the anxiety. Remember, 2 weeks ago, Donald Trump tweeted that they will be leaving as fast as they came in. So don't get too comfortable. People are calling and they're flooding in our office with calls and they're flooding in our inboxes online. But at the same time, we have trained staff that's talking to folks, and we want folks to know that they should craft an action plan and call their friends and family members to be there for them in case of anything happening. The other thing that unfortunately we've also been receiving is a lot of false reports about raids that are happening. And again, a lot of these false reports are by citizens who they're hardline. You have citizens that are, I don't want to say they're white people because they're not. I found out that people of color also are hardline on this whole immigration thing, and there are a lot of them that are saying get out of our country and all this other stuff. So you have legal citizens that are calling in fake raids, and you have legal citizens that are actually making money off of this, whether it's pretending to be an attorney that can save someone or get you expedited paperwork, or pretending to be a law enforcement agent that's knocking on your door and demanding money. Hey, I know where you live. Give me some money and I won't send the rest of my guys here. Extorting them, that kind of thing. So we have deployed a rapid response team all over the city of Houston, in the greater Houston area, that will go out and verify these reports. Unfortunately, with social media, some of these things can go viral and does cause even more panic. They asked them, but it sounds like you're still bracing for the possibility of raids and subsequent deportation. I want you to keep in mind that ICE never stops doing raids. They're always doing raids. That is what they do. Okay, they're always on someone's trail, always looking for somebody, and that is one of the reasons why I've said that if you're going to run off in the United States of America and become an illegal immigrant, it is going to be rough for you in this climate, because for one, you might have to be moving city to city, state to state. So, or wherever you're at, you're definitely going to be feeling very paranoid. So we are about to, they asked him if he's still getting ready for the raids, right? He says that our community and ourselves need to be ready to respond to anything that we need to do. We are, because of the fact that the president in his tweet said that he is going to give Congress 2 weeks to fix the asylum laws. Now, here is the reason why it was put off. Because a lot of people are saying, I told you he was bluffing. I told you nothing was going to happen. And there was actually something else happening behind the scene. So for those who want to know, well, what happened? How come the mass raids never happened? Well, he gave 2 weeks off to allow Congress to fix asylum laws. And unfortunately, he said that we have lost faith in Congress to enact anything because of the partisanship issues that exist. It existed under President Obama, which I remember very well. They were unable to pass anything because one side would not agree with the other on anything at all. So, therefore, we know that in 2 weeks, something is going to happen. And our community and ourselves need to be ready to respond to anything that we need to do. If ICE were to show up at someone's home or place of work, what are you recommending that people do? I think this piece of information right here is extremely important for those who need it. If ICE were to show up, you might want to pass this on to a family member, a friend who know a friend that's in this position. And remember, I said some people are sitting home very comfortable because their paperwork have been submitted, so they think that they're okay, when one of the first things they did was to make it perfectly legal to no longer notify you that your paperwork had been disapproved and you are in deportation proceedings. So some people will get a knock on the door instead of getting a letter in the mail, and that knock on the door will be taking you from your home, or you'll go to school, drop your kids off to school, and it'll be the last time you see them until you can arrange for them to come see you wherever they'll be deporting you to. That's just facts. That is why they said the raid was about families. It was about people who had already gotten their orders, and it was about people who had missed their court dates. Of course, you're going to miss the court date if you were not notified that you needed to show up for one. So, If ICE were to show up at your door or place of work, what are you recommending these people do? We're recommending that please do not open the door if immigration comes to your house. They have the right to have immigration or ICE present a judicial warrant as well as a ICE warrant to make sure that they both are signed by judges. So then that way they can see that these orders are real and that they are really looking for that person. 2, if we're asking folks to remain silent, we're asking them to remain silent because anything that they say can and will be used against you in the immigration court. So for the first one is, don't open the door. They're going to knock on the door. They're going to identify themselves as ICE. You don't have to open your door. I did not know that. But if they have a warrant, I'm pretty sure that they can kick that door in. 2, they're asking you to remain silent if you are picked up. Don't say anything because whatever you say can be used against you in a court of law. So we ask people to just say in a very firm voice, under the 5th Amendment, I have the right to remain silent. And that's it. I'm choosing to exercise that right at this time. And number 3 is that they do not sign any documents pertaining to any deportation order or anything, really. Because a lot of these documents can contain very difficult legal languages to understand. And it could be in the language that folks don't necessarily feel comfortable in reading or in speaking in. It's also important that they record these interactions because we also want to make sure that we hold ICE accountable if they are overstepping their boundaries or they're doing things that they're not supposed to, they're questioning other people in the home, etc., etc. Didn't know that either. So they're not allowed to question other people in the home. If they have an order to come for Eric Smith at one particular address and they manage to get in the home, they're supposed to just get Eric Smith and leave. They're not supposed to question anybody else in the home. And number 4, it's important that even before all of this happens, that people get educated, that people get organized, and that people know that we have to be there for one another, he said. So, in short, the raids are still going down, according to Donald Trump. He's not missing a beat on these raids, and like he said before, don't get too comfortable, because you won't be here much longer. Leave your comment in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about this one. It's SouFLoTV. And pass this information on to someone who might be in this position of those 3 or 4 things that they should do. I'm out.